Ahoy there, YouTubers and plant lovers. It's Justin coming to you from the Big Blue Nation once again. And today I was going to discuss the Phalaenopsis Orchid with you all. This has got to be the most easiest orchid to ever take care of. And the reason why that is because they do like a lot of the same things that we do. They like the same kind of temperatures we do. They like a lot of light, like most of us do. And they like a good amount of water, just like a lot of us do as well. So I'm going to tell you a couple of easy things to remember to kind of help you take the best possible care of your Phalaenopsis orchid. Now, these are one of the most popular orchids. You can get them at any kind of big box grocery store or any other home improvement store like Lowe's or Home Depot. They're basically just around pretty much anywhere that mainly does business. And that's just because, like I said, they're an easy orchid to take care of. With light, you want the leaves to kind of remain kind of like an olive green. That's pretty much ideal. If it's any darker than an olive green color, that just means that they're not getting enough light. If the leaves are kind of tinted red, that is kind of an insinuation that they are getting too much light. Now, if you'll notice on this one, this is my old Phalaenopsis. I've had this guy for about 5 years, and you can tell that his bottom leaves are starting to wither up and die. It almost is kind of indicative that he's not getting enough water. Well, that's not really true. Unfortunately, the way Phalaenopsis operate is they don't grow a whole mass of leaves. They usually just grow a couple of them, and their oldest ones are the ones on the bottom. And after they've got their newer leaves on top, the older ones kind of just wither away and die off. That way they're not burning a whole lot of precious energy trying to keep up old leaves that are ripped or torn or damaged by insects or anything like that. So for them, it's best just to kind of go ahead and let the other ones go, so to speak, and focus on the newer ones on top. Now, the best kind of container to put a Phalaenopsis in is going to be one that has a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot of drainage holes. Now, most of the time you'll see these orchids in a plastic kind of container. This one's not very good because it doesn't have any kind of holes on the side to kind of aerate the bark. It does have some holes down in the bottom. So that does help, but if you can actually get the ones that do have them on the side. And if you have some time, you can just use a knife or some scissors and cut holes in the plastic pots. Something that's not too big, that won't let all the bark out, but it'll let a lot of the moisture out. And if you kind of zoom in right here, you can see the roots on the Phalaenopsis. This right here, that is an aerial root, and you can see it is coming out down here. You never ever want to cut off an aerial root. Now with the regular roots, you can kind of see them down in here. Those can be cut off, especially if you need to kind of pull that orchid out and check the roots and see how they're doing. And if there's any kind of brown, mushy, or blackness to it and they smell, you want to get rid of those because that's usually an indication that it's got root rot. Another reason why Phalaenopsis are such easy orchids to take care of is because of their light requirement. They are actually considered a lower light species of orchid, so they don't need a whole bunch. They would be mainly ideal at home on a east-facing windowsill. You could put them in a south-facing one or a west-facing one, but you really want to make sure that it's going to get the dappled light it needs by putting up a sheer curtain or something that can kind of block out most of the direct heat of the day kind of sun. Other than that, I would say about 4, maybe 5 hours of light, as long as it's filtered, will suffice on your orchid. Now, with temperature, these guys like it just like we do. They kind of prefer about 60 degrees at night, 60 degrees Fahrenheit that is, and about anywhere from 70 to 90 degrees during the day. And actually, 95 degrees Fahrenheit is about the maximum of the recommendation for temperature for these guys. So if you know it's going to be any hotter than that, I wouldn't leave them out in the direct sun. I would kind of bring them in or place them under some kind of protection from the noonday sun, and bring them inside if you can. Don't leave them out there too long. They are epiphytic and they do like the jungles, But you got to remember, it is a little bit more humid in some of these places that get direct scorching heat, kind of like anywhere in the direct south or even here in Louisville. And also don't forget, if you have your orchid on a windowsill, you want to remember that the temperature around a window is going to be a lot colder or even a lot hotter than the general temperature inside your house. Humidity. These guys could get by with about 50 to probably 60% humidity, so they don't need a whole lot. And if you ever do get any kind of moisture down into your crown of your Phalaenopsis, down here in the middle, you want to take some toilet paper or paper towel and use the corner of it to kind of mash it down in here and let that soak out as much of that moisture as you can. Or your Phalaenopsis will get crown rot, and that will take it out relatively fast. Pests, these have the same kind of problems as Vanda or Cymbidium. They do not do well with aphids because of the wet bark or soil. They don't do well with the spider mites because they will have a field day with some Phalaenopsis. Scale, they can get pretty in there pretty good on the stalks. And even the flower stalks or racemes rather. So you just want to kind of keep an eye out. And when you go to water your Phalaenopsis, I'll often just kind of spray it down to give a little bit more moisture. Or I'll just stick it in my kitchen sink. And I use filtered water. Don't use any kind of water that's been salt softened or that a lot of people say is pretty hard. So if you know you've got any kind of that water, you want to be careful of it. Now, as I was saying about the leaves, these leaves are dying out. They will turn yellow and they will fall off on their own. But if you like, once they get to this kind of stage and they're all wrinkled and nasty looking, you can go ahead and cut them off. Now, if you've got a dying flower stalk on there, the best way to take care of one of those is to get some scissors that are really sharp and sanitize that with alcohol, rubbing alcohol, or hot soap and water. And then get as close to the stalk down here where it's attached and just cut it off there. You don't want to leave it up too tall, though I've heard people say that if you do cut off right at the base of the flowers and leave them masked of the stalk, it can rebloom. I've never had such luck, but some people say they have. Well guys, that's really all I have to say about the Phalaenopsis orchid. Like I said, this is a relatively easy orchid to take care of, and if you do have one, they will bless you with several months of beautiful flowers. The flowers do last for a while, but that being said, go ahead and leave me a comment and let me know if you've all had any kind of luck or failures with this plant, and be sure to leave me a like so that I know I'm doing something right. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button or the button next to it, that way you'll know anytime I've posted a video. Okay tubers, if you'd like to see my last video, be sure and click here. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, you can click over here as well. Alright guys, have a good one, and don't forget, plant prudently.